Welcome, everyone. I'm Mariquita Solis, the live stream host of all-creatures.org. All-creatures.org was founded in 1998 and is a leading resource for faith-based animal rights veganism. Led by our executive director, Tams Nicholson, we provide free resources for people seeking to live compassionately towards all creatures. Our extensive library includes vegan sermons and commentaries, animal rights strategies, action alerts, events, and works by various vegan authors. We also sponsor websites for animal rights organizations. Our mission is to unite compassionate individuals worldwide who honor the dignity of all creatures. So make sure you join us on YouTube because we're going to end our streaming to Facebook. So make sure you're watching us on YouTube. And that's going to end. I think maybe we've got one more going to Facebook, but after that, always YouTube. So today I'm excited to welcome my good friend, Kelley Gilberry, CHN. Kelley is a certified holistic nutritionist, a health coach, author, and keynote speaker committed to helping you create the life you've always dreamed of. His work focuses on targeting ineffective behaviors, habits, and beliefs around food. He believes in using simple techniques and approaches to help his clients reach their health goals through effective lifestyle changes. Kelley recently published his first book, Plants Saved My Life, which is the roadmap for learning how the power of lifestyle medicine can help you regain your health. Kelley is passionate about creating the most effective resources for people struggling with obesity and chronic health conditions. He has over 18 years of experience in training and development, employing techniques from his former role as U.S. Naval Academy instructor and as a corporate trainer to deliver messages of health and natural healing to his clients. So I'm very excited to welcome you, Kelley, and everyone else here watching. Make sure that you let us know where you're watching from and get your questions and comments up because I have had the pleasure of interviewing Kelley a few other times, and so it's wonderful to check back in with you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. That was quite a mouthful when it comes to the introduction. I appreciate that. And as far as my resume is, I appreciate that. I was reading it like, wow, that's me. Yeah, cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, how's everything going?
Everything's good, and I really love your sense of your charisma and your sense of humor, and I love that your tips for helping people. I mean, anytime we can help people eat plants, we're moving closer to this vegan world. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it's my main mission in life. My main mission in life is to be able to help people, specifically people suffering from chronic health conditions that are totally avoidable. Like live their life. You don't want to lose. It's a bad thing to lose your life 20, 20, 30 years way before you're supposed to. Like I don't, I you know, I try to get people to live their life longer instead of digging a grave with their teeth, because that's what we're doing.
right, and when you went on your health journey, you didn't even realize about the animals, right? So when did you make the transition to eating differently?
Well, I made the transition to eating differently after my mother passed away. My mother was here one day, boom, gone the next day from a heart attack. So that was red flag number one. She passed away from a heart attack, and I was obese at the time. I was a diabetic, and I just got diagnosed with all these conditions and having heart disease. Same condition she just passed away from. And then my uncle, he ended up coming to live with us, and then because his cancer came back. So I was taking him back and forth to his cancer treatments. And I was his caretaker in the last 5 months of his life. So I saw him pass away. And that kind of affect when he passed away, I was kind of like, that was the trigger to say, what is it? Why did my loved ones die? So I started doing more and more research. And the more and more research I did, I kept pointing back to it's one thing and one thing only. It's what you're eating. Right? It's what you're eating that's caused you to be obese. It's what you're eating that caused you to have heart disease. It's what you're eating that caused you to be a diabetic. And it's what you're eating when it's your life, the rest of your lifestyle, 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine that has caused you to have all of these chronic health conditions. So that was the turning point for me, that I realized that it was the diet that that did it. It was your lifestyle. So I went back to school and got certified in nutrition and plant-based nutrition, and that's when I found out that I put it to the test in 2021 and reversed all of my chronic health conditions using the power of lifestyle medicine and plant-based nutrition.
That's amazing. And when did you make the connection about the animals? How did that happen? And when
It
did you
was-
become vegan?
Yeah, it was the same thing. It was doing the same time during 2021. I started off with, I found out there's three parts of being vegan, right? So there's the health side, then there's the animal side, and then there's the environmental side. Like I didn't know anything about the environmental side or the animal side. All I knew about is while people were saying a plant-based or vegan diet is going to help me transform my health. So that's what I initially started with. But the more and more I got into it, the more and more I started realizing like how the food got to my plate and the suffering that animals go through. And they're human. They're not human, but they have the same feelings that we have. And how they cry and they have tears and taking their babies away, and they feel that kind of stuff. So I was like, man, that's pretty terrible. And then so that's kind of how I got into it. Started watching more and more documentaries, and I'm just like, man, that's pretty unnerving of what happens to animals. So that was more how I got into it.
Right. And did you have when you made your changes, did your friends and family support you, or did they make fun of you? Or I guess if you were, I don't know. Tell me. Tell me.
No, no, I mean nobody made fun of me. I mean, not friends and family. I mean, they saw that I was losing the weight, and they wanted to know what I did. But at the end of the day, I mean, nobody made fun of me. It's just that, like, people are like, hey, man, you do your thing and I'll do my thing. I'm gonna continue to eat whatever I want to eat whenever I want to eat it. You do what you do, right? That's great for you. You lost all the weight. You're gonna you're gonna extend your life. Great, but I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. So that's kind of what I figured out when it comes to other people or when it comes to friends and family. All right, so I found out everybody's an individual when it comes to that. So just because you're doing it, and they seen all the success that you have, and maybe they find out like, oh, uh, I want to lose some weight too. But then if I tell them what I did, then they'll be like, oh no, that's too hard. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But then I say to myself like, maybe they'll complain about this condition or that condition, or they'll complain about they have to take all of this medication. Right, that's one of the number one complaints I get is I got to take all of this medication. It's like, well, there is a solution for that. It's a solution called what you're putting down your throat, right? What's at the end of your fork is the main contributor for that. Right? So, but then once they find it out, they're like, nah. So that's why I ask people now. How serious are they about it? Like if you have a chronic health condition or whatever it is, I literally ask them. They think that I'm joking, but I would literally ask them, how serious are you about transforming this condition? And then they'll say, oh yeah, I'm serious. But then I'll tell them, okay, well here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. Then they'll say like, you know what? They'll think about it like, nah, it's not that serious, right? It's not that serious. And then what does that lead down to? It leads to a domino effect where now they're still having to take all these chronic health conditions, chronic medication, and then next thing you know, they die a few years later because they didn't want to change, or they continue to go down that same path, and they lost their life 20 years too soon, 30 years too soon. So I was just like,
Gosh. And
so
then
like
what
I
if
said,
you
like I
say,
said in the beginning, people it's their own choice. That's the choices that I found out that being overweight is hard, and also losing weight is hard. So you have to choose your hard. Like, which one are you going to do? You're going to choose to be overweight, or you're going to choose the hard path of now you got to transform your health. So
right? Well,
you choose your
that's a
hard.
good point. That's a very good point. And what about? I mean, now, did you ever say to them, "I want to tell you what the animals go through" as a motivating factor?
Yeah, you do, but you do, but then it just doesn't. I've noticed that it doesn't register to most people. Doesn't register to them like how that food got on how their steak got on their plate, or how the chicken breast got on their plate. A lot of kickback I get is, well, this is, especially in the beginning, this is the reason that God put animals on the planet is for us to eat them. Like that's what people will tell me. That's kind of one of the number one responses that I get. And when I get that response that this is the number one reason that God put animals on the planet is for us to eat them, it ends up turning into a debate. right? Which I don't want to debate with people, because I used to do that in the beginning when I first went vegan, when I first went plant based. I used to get into debates with people, but as the years have gone by, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to get into debate with people, because at the end of the day, like I said in the beginning, people are going to do what the heck they want to do. That's what I found out. Like, okay, all right, man, you do you, and I'm gonna do me. But yeah, like I said, you could tell them about the animals, but a lot of the times it just doesn't register with them. Even if they, like I said, even if they watch a documentary and several documentaries, and they find out what happens in a slaughterhouse, or how the animals get to the slaughterhouse, it may register for like a half a second for most people, but then uh, at the end of the day, once they go to like a barbecue or get invited to here or there or whatever, like everything they watched in the documentary or learn, and then it just goes out the window, and they go back to their ways, go back to their traditional ways, because that's what society has deemed upon them.
Right. And then do you have people telling you, I have to eat meat or I'm going to be sickly?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they say that is because the reason that they say that is because this is how we were conditioned. This is how we were conditioned to be brought up, right? My philosophy is this: is I don't I want you to eat as many plants as I want you to eat as much plants as possible. Even for people that, even my clients now, like I get pushback. I have clients now that are not 100% plants. I just try to keep it as I tell them to eat real food, mostly plants, predominantly plants, and do it in moderation. Those are the three things that I tell people, is because here's the thing, because when I first started coaching, when I first became a coach, I would tell people, I started off with a 30-day challenge, and I would get people like, you're going to go on a plant-based diet for 30 days just to see what happens. And they would do it, and then they'd have all kinds of like health transformations. Like people are off their medications, their diabetes medications. People are lost 25 pounds. People have, they've done a whole, in 30 days. But then after the 30 days, you'll start to get that pushback. Be like, oh man, real life starts to settle in. And like, okay, well, what happens when I go to a barbecue? Or what happens when I go here? What happens when I hang out with friends and family and all that? And you just start like, oh, I can't have a piece of meat, or they just, so I've noticed that the more you tell people that they shouldn't do it or they can't do it, the more they want to do it.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true. And the
The
harder they get in
more
their
they want to
stance.
do it. So that's what I found out. Like, man, so I started changing my language a little bit. I'm like, okay, let's eat mostly plants, right? Let's get mostly plants into your diet, and then you can do the other stuff 10% of the time, 10-15% of the time, right? For those times when you go out to a barbecue, or a wedding event or whatever, right? Because people start to feel isolated, and the more and more people will start to feel isolated, the less and less they are likely to stick with it. Right. So that's why I got in the beginning, I find out their why. Like, why is it that you want to do this? What's your why behind it? Right. So usually it's a lot of people is because of their health. And that usually it's not because of the animals. I tell people about the animals, I get them involved in that and show them that, but at a lot of the times it just still doesn't register to them.
Well, did you have anyone that it really did register and said, did you have someone say, oh my gosh, I never knew about the animals and it had it stick with them?
Yeah, yeah, they do. They, for a short period of time. For
Mm.
sure, because you got to find out what you got to uncover. You got to peel back the layers to find out why they really wanting to do this. Why they really want. If it wasn't for the animals, they're going to go back. They're eventually going to. Maybe a month or two or three or four or five or whatever. They will eventually go back. Now I have a couple of clients that they stick with it. I'll check with them even though I check with clients a couple of years later, like, yep, I'm still going strong, right? But then I have clients I'll check back with them a couple of years later. I'm like, no, I slipped back into my ways. I gained the weight back, 25, 30 pounds, 40, 50 pounds. I've gained back, you know what I mean? So because I'm just kind of going back to my normal ways. That's when I stopped coaching them. I stopped coaching them, and then I'll check with them in a couple of years, and they was like, I went good for a while, but then life started lifing me, and then I started getting depressed about this or family or life, and they just started going back to what's convenient for them. That's a lot of the things that I found out too, is people love convenience. So if it's not convenient, like eating this way, eating mostly plants, it's not convenient most of the time, a lot of the time. So people, that's another thing that kind of deters people. And even if I tell them like, hey, when you're out and about, they'll still grab like some vegan junk food, right? They'll still
Mhm.
grab a Beyond Burger or an Impossible Burger or, you know, just some junk food, right? And so, yeah. And then, like I
Well,
said, they eventually go back to their ways.
right. What kind of words of encouragement would you give someone that was getting made fun of? A vegan, a new vegan, and the family or the friends were making fun of them. What would you
Yeah.
say?
Values and reasons. So your reasons, here's my thing. Here's one of my favorite philosophies. Values come, I mean, no, I'm sorry. Reasons come first, answers come second. So if you've got enough reasons as to why you want to do it and the values, you're going to write here's what you can do. I would tell this person, write down on a piece of paper or write it down on your phone or whatever, and then write down your 5 most important values. I'm talking about in life. I'm talking about write down your 5 most and important values in life. And if one of those values is, I just went plant based or just went vegan and I want to transform my health, this is the reason that I'm doing this. So when you're out and then you write that down, the reason that I want to do this is because of this. So now when you're out and about and people are out making fun of you, you can look back at your list and says, okay, the reason that I'm doing this is because of X, right? The reason that and then on the other hand, if people are making fun of you, and then if one of your values is you write down your values, I'm worried about what other people think when I'm out and about. Okay, and so this makes me feel really, really badly. If that's one of your values, then okay, then. But if it's not one of your values, because most of the time, if I tell people to write down their values, they're not gonna write. One of my values is worrying about what other people think. They're not gonna write that. So if people are out making fun of you, and you go back and look at your values, and you say that that's not one of my values, then it shouldn't bother you. It shouldn't bother you. But if it is bothering you, then that means we got to dig a little bit deeper to find out why is it bothering you if that's not one of your values. If that's not one of your values that are important to you, because people are going to talk. People are going to say whatever they want to say. Here's what I've learned too is there's two things that you can control in your life. There's only two things in this whole entire world. Two things. Number one is my own thoughts, right? What I think about. This is number one thing that I can control. And the second thing that I can control is I can control my own reactions. So if somebody says this or says that or whatever, I am the only person in control of my response. That is it. I can control my thoughts and I can control my reactions. Other than that, I can't control it. It's kind of like if you're trying to control everything else around you. It's kind of like trying to control the weather. Can you control the weather? No.
No.
So, and then along with the weather, you can't control what other people do. You can't control what other people say. You can't control what other people think. And you can't control any of that. So why are you worrying yourself about that if it's out of your control? All it's going to do is cause you to have anxiety and that's to be worried for no reason. You know what I mean? So that's what I would tell people.
Well, that's good advice. And I want to share what JJ is showing. She had the same path as you. They have to figure it out for themselves as they go along. I started out with diet, but knowledge made me see the truth about animals. And a lot of people dismiss the plant eaters like, oh, we're only doing it for health. They don't really care. But I think that's a very good transition. Like for you and JJ, both now you're very aware of the animal capacity here and about veganism and how to share that with other people. So I hate it when they dismiss eating plants.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. They're definitely going to dismiss eating plants because that's not how we were conditioned. When you're born, when you're an empty shell, when you're just born, you don't grow up, you don't believe anything. You don't have a belief about anything. You don't know anything about anything until somebody comes and instills that into you. Somebody comes and trains you, and you learn how you get trained. You get trained from your environment, your friends, your family, right? My mom, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Like for instance, if you grew up, let's just say if you grew up in like me, for instance, I grew up in a southern household, in a southern black household. We eat soul food a lot, right? So we're talking about collard greens with hog maws. We're talking about candied yams. We're talking about macaroni and cheese. We're talking about oxtails. We're talking about
Chitlins.
chitlins, yeah, neck bones.
Oh,
You know, what I mean, we talking about gravy. We talking about mashed potatoes, gravy. You know, even some depends on what part of the South you're from. You might be eating, you know, wild animals, raccoons, squirrels, all types of stuff, right?
yeah, that's true.
Now, on the other hand, now when I get older, now I've been eating this all my life. Like I say, you grow up, you don't when you're born, you don't believe anything. So now I'm growing up believing that I'm supposed to eat raccoons and squirrels and possums, right? This is what I believe. Now, whenever somebody else on the other hand, they may grow up eating totally different. So when you get older, that starts to clash because of these people have these all these different beliefs. So yeah, so what you do growing up is it's going to shape you and mold you, and so you have to try to break those traditions, to break those that what you learned from that petri dish growing up. It's hard, right? And it's hard to break. It's hard to sever that. So I found out that there's three things that people are. It's very very controversial topic. Number one is politics. Because there's so many different views on politics, right? You can get in a whole bunch of different debate on about politics. You know, whether you're with the left, the right, or whatever. Uh, and then number two is religion, because there's so many different forms of religion, right? Who do you believe? Who's your God? So that then you can get into a debate about that. And then number three, I didn't know this until I became vegan, or until I became plant based, until I started getting into nutrition. I found out that nutrition is number three. It's
Oh,
very,
wow.
very, it's very, very controversial because, like I just said, that petri dish. When you're growing up, I'm eating all the hog maws and candy yams. That's what I'm believing I'm supposed to eat. And somebody else is growing up eating differently. Or let's just say somebody grew up in an Indian household. Like what they eat, what they grew up eating versus what I grew up eating, it's going to be totally different. So now I tell people like, hey, listen, you can't eat that dish anymore. Don't eat that dish because of that dish is bad, or don't eat this dish because that dish is bad. Like, do you know how much what kind of hell is going to come down on you? You tell people that food is very very personal to people. It's very very personal to people. Like for instance, someone's health and someone's food is very very important to them. Kind of like, for instance, I was at a networking event the other day, and um, I tell people that I help people with diabetes, specialize in diabetes. And this one lady, she was like, "Yeah, my husband just got diagnosed with being diabetic." And I was like, "Wow." And you know, she was probably in her 50s, and just looking at it. She was like, "My husband just got diagnosed with being a diabetic." But she was like, "I think he knew for a while." She was like, "I think he knew for like a year and something, but he just didn't tell me." You know, because they went to the doctor and they was like, "Hey, your husband's diabetic," and she was just like, no, he's not." Right? Like that's how personal uh food is to people and their health. Like the guy didn't even want to tell his wife that he was a diabetic. Like went to the doctor and got diagnosed with diabetes, and he didn't want to tell his wife, and she found out like a year and something later. Like that's
Wow.
how personal. That's how personal food and health, and it's super super personal to people,
Yeah.
even to your spouse.
That's like JJ saying, it has very high emotional ties, and people get very defensive and angry, like when they,
Very.
you know,
You're gonna get into a fight. You're gonna get into a fight if you tell people that you can't eat this or you can't eat that, or like I tell people like, hey, cut back on the steak or don't eat the steak. They'll literally bite my head off and stick their arm down my neck and pull out my esophagus. Like that's how personal it is to people. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, one time I know you're right. I mean, it's like I've been attacked too when I haven't done anything. I mean, I say I hadn't done anything. I had a vegan shirt on, vegan, peace for all. I mean, it's a very, very peaceful shirt, and
Yeah.
someone said, well, those are your beliefs. I
Hmm.
didn't ask anything. I just was like, that was their commentary on it. And it was very uncomfortable, I'll say. And this was at my church, at my church. you know so it was and it was just funny that is so threatening. The word vegan has so much uh, charge to it. And so I, in my own practice, have kind of switched out sometimes the language, using harmonic earth healer, tying people to earth, which in that aspect, tying them to eat the foods of the earth, live the way the earth, to help the earth heal, all of it without saying vegan necessarily.
Hmm.
Um, because yes, people will get angry when they hear that word right away. They're on the defense.
Turns into a fight almost not every time, but it turns into a fight a lot. You know what I mean? So, yeah, yeah, it turns into a fight a lot. So I'm just like you. I started changing my language. Started changing my language because my goal is just to help people. My goal is to help people. Like, I don't want you to lose your life 20 years too soon. I don't want you to lose your life 30 years too soon because you dug a grave with your teeth. A lot of my family members have gone. There's not a lot of my family members are left. You know, uh, they all passed away from a chronic health condition, and all these chronic health conditions are related to your diet and lifestyle. Because 8 out of the top 10 killers are all lifestyle related diseases. 8 out of the top 10. So therefore, I think it's the when I figured it out and I try to tell other people, I just think it's totally senseless to lose your life 20, 30 years too soon because you don't want to give up you know, something that's damaging your health.
I know, you're right. And JJ eats a lot of fruits and vegetables, and she's saying, if someone tells me not to eat fruit, I get mad now. Also, I mean, laughing, laughing out loud. Someone told me at church one day. He said, I was offering him some. I don't remember what it was, some bananas or something, some fruit, right? And he
Yeah.
said, "Oh no, my doctor said no, that's too much sugar, right? Too much sugar in those bananas." And then a few minutes later, he was eating chocolate chip cookies. Anyway, I was like, "What?" I didn't say anything, but you know, um, anyway, so it's funny. I mean, all this stuff, all these wrong thoughts about fruit also make me very angry.
Yeah, we can talk about fruit. We can talk.
Yeah.
I'm a nutritionist at the end of the day, so we can talk about fruit. Even yeah, I changed recently. I changed my stance on fruit a little. I still love fruit, right? But here's how I view fruit now. Fruit is a dessert. Today's fruit. Today's fruit. It should be a dessert. The reason why is because of how they bred the fruit nowadays. They breed it to be more sweet, very, very sweet, and they also would have less fiber. So those are the two things that they do now. Super, super sweet. Every fruit in the grocery store is bred to be more sweet than it was naturally, than from a ancestral standpoint. If you look at we talk about a banana. If you look at an ancestral banana, like they don't look like they look now, right? A
Wow.
banana from 1,000 years ago, they're like this. They're like this big, and they're not sweet like that, and they have seeds in them. And if you pull out banana today, I mean, they're long like this, and they are super, super sweet, and they don't have any seeds in them. So that's the thing with fruits today. Fruit is eat it just like you would eat a dessert. Eat it last. Eat a dessert. Eat it last. When it comes to that, for people, you see my tagline here: diabetes doesn't define you. For people with diabetes, today's fruit, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous in that aspect when it comes to a diabetic because of, like I said, how much they've changed the fruit. They bred the fruit to be more sweeter and more have less fiber. It's kind of like you see all these dogs around here. We talked about dogs earlier before we jumped on. We talked about all these different dogs, and we're like, "Hey, what kind of dog do you have? What kind of dog do you have? What kind of dog do you?" It's like so many different breeds of dogs, but all of those dogs came from gray wolves. They were all bred from gray wolves. So now, over the years, they started doing all this crossbreeding, breed here. You can hear my dogs barking now, right? Breed here, breed there, breed here, and then next thing you know, you got a Chihuahua, you got a husky, I got a soft coated Wheaten Terrier, you've got Havanese. All of these dogs come from gray wolves, and it's the same concept of what happens to the fruit. They bred it so many times over the years just to make it sweeter, right? And then with the dogs, they bred them so many years over the time just to make the dogs cuter, like a labradoodle or a mini labradoodle, right? Cute
Right,
dog.
right. Well, how do they take out the fiber?
It's because of how they bred it, how they breed it. They breed it is because I don't know exactly how they take the fiber out, But I know that today's fruit is, if you like it, if you look at it, ancestral fruit versus today's fruit, it has more fiber in it. Yeah, that was always the thing to say, like, hey, you can eat as much fruit as you want because of the fiber content, because the fiber kind of nullifies the sugar, right? But that's not necessarily the case today. It's because of how they've altered, this is a better word, how they've altered the fruit to make it sweeter and have less fiber.
What about vegetables?
Yeah, vegetables are great. Vegetables are great. But here's the thing about vegetables. Today's vegetables are, they don't have as much nutrients in them as they did back in, like we talked about, ancestral time. But number one is because of the soil, like how the soil is depleted, and how the, like B12 for instance, like B12 doesn't come from an animal, B12 doesn't come from a plant, B12 comes from a bacteria or a fungus in the ground. That's where B12 comes from, right? So when we clean it and we take the vegetables now and we clean it up and put it through all these different processes to make it presentable on the shelf at the store, that's why a lot of the B12 is gone, because of the processing that it goes through to make it look pretty on the shelf, right? So fruits and fruit vegetables it's great, but today's fruits and vegetables are not what they were, in ancestral time, or even like 75, 50, 1950, 75 years ago. It's not this, like grandma, like with your grandma, the food that your grandma ate, it was real authentic food because it literally came from the ground and it wasn't altered like it is today.
Well, where do you recommend that we get our food from, like farmers markets, or do you grow your own food?
I mean, you can grow your own. I mean, I get my food from farmers market. I mean, I realize that I still eat my fruits and vegetables, fruit as a dessert, and my vegetables. But now I make sure I get the right supplements, in just to make sure that it's compensating for kind of what's lacking in today's food system.
All right. So, as a vegan, what would you say we need to eat? I mean, what supplements do we have to take?
B12, B12 is number one. I think everybody should take B12. Now, because like I said, B12 doesn't come from an animal, and it doesn't come from a plant. Number two is your omega-3 fatty acids. So you can get a lot of people get it from their fish. When people eat fatty fish, but as far as being plant-based and being vegan, you can get it from an algae. You can get an algae substitute to be able to do that. There's also, all of the nuts and Brussels sprouts and chia seeds like that. It doesn't do there's a conversion. It does. It's not. It's DHA and EPA is what we're looking for when it comes to omega threes. So now, when you're doing like nuts and seeds, they don't have the DPA and DHA and EPA. It has ALA in it, and sometimes it takes your body. You have to convert it into your body, right? So that's why I just recommend and sometimes a lot of us can't make that conversion. So that's why a lot of the times I just recommend an algae uh, supplement. So yeah, and then a multivitamin. It's a methylated multivitamin. That's number three. So when it comes to vitamins, you see the vitamins on the shelves, all the multivitamins on the shelves. Like a lot of those are bogus. A lot of those are bogus. What you want to get is you want to get a methylated multivitamin, right? Methylated. It's because what methylated does is it takes that. So there's four parts of whenever you eat. So there's you eat it, there's consumption, and then there's absorption by your body will absorb it, and then the next thing that your body will do is called methylation. So it has to figure out, okay, I got this raw material in me, like what am I supposed to do with this? Like how do I convert it? So that's the conversion process, methylation, and finally elimination. So that's why you want to get your multivitamins that are methylated, because they're already in a usable form for your body. So the three things. So the three things are a methylated. You want to get a methylated B12 supplement. You want to get your omega threes, and you want to get a multivitamin. Those are the main three things that I would start with.
All right. I hope everybody's listening, and make sure you're subscribing too if you are watching, and give us a like. So I remember when you were talking, or maybe this was in your book. So I listened to your audio book, which is just a wonderful, fun, very quick listen. But you're talking about how when you're putting these processed foods in your body, and I'm trying not to going to use any name brands, but let's just say there was just some junky donut, that's full of sugar, and there's just like, what how does what does your body think about it? I guess body. I mean, what does your body? How does it react to that? This
No,
process.
no, yeah. Yeah, it's in the book. So first, it depends on what part of the body it is. The taste buds love it, right?
Why do they love it so much?
They love it because you get that dopamine hit. So with sugar tells your body it's kind of that's like a little dopamine hit. So whenever you get sugar, your brain is like, "Ooh, I love that. What is that? Like, what is that sweet stuff? I love it. Give me more." It's a dopamine hit. So it makes you feel happy. It makes you feel like, "Ooh, wow, wow." Makes you feel all warm and tingly inside. So that's what sugar does. So your taste buds love it because it's sweet. I mean, it's like you get that burst of your brain just goes into overdrive whenever you get all that sugar and that sweetness inside of you. Now, other than that, once it gets into your body, that's when the problems start. That's when your body will hates it. Your body hates it because your food is I call it diesel fuel and unleaded fuel. So your body is designed. We're mostly designed to run on plants, right? Mostly designed to run on plants. I mean, this is the way that we can get into. People get into a debate with this me all the time, but when you eat ultra processed foods, or you talk about the name brand foods that is not real, it's not real food. So when you put that into your body has no idea what to do with it. Has no idea what to do with it, right? It will try to figure out what to do with it, but as the years go by, it doesn't know what to do with it. So what does your body do instead? It takes that stuff that it doesn't know what to do with, like all of these foreign chemicals and toxins and all of this ultra processed food that is not real food. Your body will store it, and it will store it into your fat cells. So the reason it stores it in your fat cells is because that's basically the excess. Like if your body doesn't know what to do with something, kind of like the excess toxins, they go into your fat cells. So that's why people start to gain weight over the years, start gaining weight, feeling like trash, tired, hungry, having this condition, that condition is because your body doesn't know what to do with it. And then after a while, we start to develop things like leaky gut. Leaky gut will lead to things like autoimmune conditions. Autoimmune conditions is a basically it's your immune system is attacking itself. Started attacking itself because over the years you gave it so much food that it's confused on what's real and what's not real, and will start to attack itself. So this is where the autoimmune diseases start to come in. There's a whole trickle down effect of eating ultra processed foods, but when you put foods into your body in a nutshell that are foreign to it, it doesn't know what to do with it, and it will store it in fat cells. And as the years go by, you'll start to get what's called leaky gut.
And what now then, if you start eating real food again,
Mhm.
then how's your body going to respond? What if it says, I don't know what this is?
It doesn't. It will probably. It may do that in the beginning. It may do that in the beginning, as far as like, oh man, if you switch over your diet and you start getting natural food, your body. Here's the number one thing that your body wants to do. Your body knows how to heal itself. So if you give it the right time, and if you give it the right environment, meaning you, if you give it the right food to put into it, the right fuel to run on, your body will know what to do with it and will start to fix itself. Same like the same thing, for instance, with me. Same thing with me. I was eating just like the food you just talked about. I was eating a whole bunch of junk food my pretty much my whole entire life. My 20s and my 30s it started to catch up to me, but it really caught up to me in my 40s. That's when it caught up to me. So then when I changed over, and I started eating more plant-based, I went on a vegan diet, started living a vegan lifestyle, and my body started to change. Like I was doing the same thing as I was doing before. I was doing the same exercises as I was doing before. The only thing that changed was the fuel that I put into my body. I started changing my fuel source, and next thing you know, I lost 70 pounds. I reversed diabetes. I reversed heart disease. You know what I mean? I'm no longer obese. It's because your body knows what to do with the right fuel source.
Right.
Right. Like I said,
Okay. So,
I didn't change anything else. I didn't change my diet. I I didn't change my work. I was still working out. I was working out before when I was obese. Right. But I changed my fuel source and my body responded to it. So your body wants to heal itself.
Right. And like you said, it just takes time. Like there might be some bumpy start, but then it will revert to, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. In the beginning, it may your body may say like, I don't like this. Like, what's going on here? You're gonna start feeling sluggish. Let's just say if you change your diet and you start now you're losing weight, you're gonna sometimes you may feel a little terrible. You might feel a little sluggish. You're like, hey, why am I feeling terrible? Like I'm eating good, but I'm feeling terrible. That's actually a good sign. That's a good sign because, like I said before, what does your body do when you eat terrible food? It stores it in your fat cells. So all of these toxins and everything, once you start to losing the weight and you start reversing everything, these toxins start getting released from your fat cells. Like now they're all over the place. Like we're getting they got free radicals. We got oxidative stress. Like all of these different chemicals are now being released into your body, and your body's just like, oh my god, I feel like trash. You know what I mean? That's because your body is getting rid of these toxins from your fat cells. Your fat cells are like, all right, we got to get rid of these toxins. So that's kind of it goes into your bloodstream, and that's why you feel like trash. But that's just temporary.
well, that's good to know. JJ's saying you don't even look like you're 40 years old.
Yeah, I'm a few years older. I'm closer to 50 than I am 40. But I appreciate it though.
Well, you're
Appreciate
looking
it,
good.
JJ.
You're looking good. And so,
Now that well, I'm looking. Well, I just say that I'm looking good, but had you met me like 4 or 5 years ago, you'd be like, dude, you're looking like a fat old man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're looking like you're over 40.
well, you've come a long way. Wow. And so your book, Plants Saved My Life and How Going Vegan Transformed My Health. Now, like I said before, that is just amazing. I love that book. It's very easy to read. It's very humorous. Is that the right word? Humorous? Anyway, it's funny.
It's very humorous. That's part of
Mhm.
my personality, being humorous.
Right. And so where can we get this book?
Anywhere books are sold, Amazon. You can go to my website. You can go to my website and get it. Unbottledwellness.com. It's on Audible, so you can go to Audible, get it. Like anywhere books are sold, Barnes and Nobles, anywhere books are sold online. Let me say that, not anywhere. You can't go into the store and get it, but anywhere books are sold online, you can go get it. A Plant Saved My Life. It's the Audible book is yeah, like you said. I don't know which Audible book you heard. I did it twice. I had the AI version. I think you may have heard the AI version, right? It wasn't me.
I thought I heard you. I thought it was you.
Okay, the second version, I mean, I revamped the whole thing and I did it myself. Because a lot of people were telling like, hey man, we love the book, the audio book, but we wish that it were you. We wish it were you. So I had AI narrated before. You couldn't really tell, a couple of words here and there. So after I got enough people that told me like we wanted to hear you, I ripped the whole thing up and I re-recorded it myself on this very same mic.
Nice. Well, all right. So everyone's going to get the book. And what else have you got going on? What kind of programs do you do with people?
So my program now is I focus on, like I said before, I was a diabetic, heart disease, and obese. So now I used to help people with a lot of stuff. Like I used to help people with all different types of weight loss and IBS and all different types of diseases, conditions. Now I found out that the major problem in society is diabetes. Like people are struggling with diabetes left and right, left and right, left and right. So I really just narrowed my focus. Like I said, I can help you with a whole bunch of stuff, but now I just narrowed my focus on people with type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, I created a whole program as far as it's literally from A to Z. As far as it's an online program, the program is online, so it's plug and play. You plug it in and you play and you do whatever I say on the whole program. I walk you through. It's a 12-week program. I walk you through the whole thing. So if you've never met me, how I design it is if you've never met me before ever in life, but you went on and you signed up for my program and you just walk through the whole process, and if you're a diabetic, you will reverse your diabetes, your type 2 diabetes, simply by just doing the process on the video. So it's literally a system. It's a whole system that I created. So the system that I did when I lost all the weight and reversed everything, like I didn't know anything about it. I knew about it, but now I've systematized that to make it like, what does someone need to do who's a type 2 diabetic to be able to reverse their condition? What do they eat? What are their lifestyle? How do they think? Like how do they exercise? Like what are so it's 4 areas. Like what are those 4 areas? How they manage your stress, how they manage your activity levels, how they eat, and how they sleep. So those are the 4 areas that I focus on in my program.
And do you do groups or just one
It's
on
group,
one?
yeah, it's group. I used to do one on one. I used to do one on one when I was helping all different types of people. But I would get people when I was doing one on one. Like I would get people from all different top walks of life with all different types of conditions. Like I'm trained on a lot of conditions, but some people will bring me conditions like I never even heard of that before. Like I got to go look that up. Right? I don't know. I got to go do some research on it. So it was just a lot of that, like one on one. So I did one on one for 3 years. So now I was like, okay, now I want to put people who are going on the same direction, on the same track. And then they're gonna end up in the same place. All right. So that's why I focus on type 2 diabetes now. So
Gotcha.
that's going to be on my website. So if you go to my website, if you're a diabetic, if you go to my website, unbottledwellness.com, you can actually go on and take a quiz. And that quiz will tell you what category, if you're doing great with managing your type 2 diabetes, if you're doing horrible managing your type 2 diabetes, or if you're somewhere in the middle. All right.
Right.
Based on the questions, based on how you answer the questions, will tell you how you manage your condition.
What's the website again?
Unbottledwellness.com.
All right. Now you have a lot of energy. What kind of animal would you say you are?
If I were an animal,
Hmm.
that's a good question. Uh, I wouldn't say that I'm an animal. I would say I'm more of an insect.
And then which insect?
An ant.
And-
An ant. Yes, the reason I would be an ant is because I don't know if I've ever taught you the ant philosophy, but the ant is the most successful species. I love talking about this. This is the most successful species on this planet. You're like, well, why is an ant the most successful species on this planet? If you look in the Bible says, how I figured this out is the Bible, there's a verse in the Bible, an old proverb that says, hey, sluggard, go seek out the ways of the ant, go study her ways, and be wise. So I'm saying to myself, seek out the ways of an ant, study her ways, and be wise. What does that mean? So the more and more research I wanted to know what that meant. So I started digging into it, and I found out like, oh, I see why it says to go seek out the ant. It's because ants are super, super successful. First of all, they never quit, ever, 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 ever. If they have a goal, if they have the dream, they're not gonna let anything stop them until they reach their goal. Right? That is they're that determined to reach their goal. Number two is they always plan ahead. You see, in the summertime, they're planning ahead because they know that a winter's coming. They know that food is going to get scarce. They know that it's going to get cold. They know that it's going to it's going to be dark and dreary things are going to get rough during the winter. So they're planning ahead. So that's the second thing. That's why they're always in a hurry. The third thing that they do is they always think positive. So they think positive when things are negative. So in the wintertime, when things are negative, when things are positive, when the sun is not shining, when food is scarce, they know that if they just hang on a little bit longer, that the sun is eventually going to shine again. They know that night, there's no such thing as a forever night. They know that. There's no such thing as a forever winter. So they know that the sun's going to shine again. So they just hang on a little bit longer. And then number four is they always do all they possibly can. Whatever it is, like how much I ask people like how much food do you think an ant will put away in the wintertime? Or in the summer, sorry. How much food do you think an ant will put away in the summertime to prepare for the winter?
I don't know. I,
Here's
I
the
don't
answer.
know.
Here's the answer. As much as she possibly can. That's the answer. That's the philosophy you want to do. Do as much as you possibly can. Like whatever your max is, do that. Whatever your feet, whatever your hands find to do, you want to do it with all your might. So that's the power of the ant philosophy. So that's a 4-part philosophy. Number one is they never quit. Number two is they plan ahead. Number three is they always think positive. And number four is they always do all they possibly can. So that's why I would say I'm an ant.
Great. Well, I believe it. You seem like an ant, definitely, Kelley. And they're also very strong, right?
Yeah,
They're
they're
really
super strong. Yeah, I think it's either a 50 or it's either something with a 50. It's either a 50 or 150 times their weight they can
that they
carry.
can lift. That's
Yeah.
amazing, and they're also very good team players. They
Very,
work
very good
together.
team. That's why they're so successful. That's why they're so successful is because of their team. Their team. So ants were around with when dinosaurs were around. The question is, do you see any dinosaurs around here? No, you don't see any dinosaurs around here. But you will see, you can go out right now. I know you live in Atlanta. You can probably go in your yard right now and you can find a bunch of ant beds. Right. And if you
Yes,
kick
I
it
saw
over, if
that.
you kick it over, you come back tomorrow, it's going to be up again. Right. That's just how they
Right.
get down.
They're very determined. That's, what I'm doing, posting every day about ant wildlife. And so tomorrow I'm going to post about the ant and everything
Yeah.
you told me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's called the ant philosophy. And then the last part of the ant philosophy, the counter, the opposite. So I believe there's two types of people in this world, either going to be an ant or on the other side, the opposite of the ant is the grasshopper. So what the grasshopper does is when the ant is preparing and doing all this preparation in the summertime to prepare for the winter, the grasshopper is laughing at the ant. The grasshopper is like, it's the summertime, man. What are you doing working? You're supposed to be out enjoying yourself, having a good time, enjoying the beautiful weather. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. You see? And then we're just going to hop around in the high grass, play our flute. We're going to eat whatever we want, whenever we want, however we want. And then guess what happens to the grasshopper in the wintertime?
Do they
He
die?
runs out of he runs out of food. He ends up perishing, and he starves to death.
Oh,
Right? While the ants, guess what the ants have? Plenty to eat. Right?
all right. Well, I'm going to be an ant like you. This is very good. You really are very motivating. I'm thinking about all the fat cells now that are full of toxins, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about the fruits and being more careful about where am I getting my fruits from and my vegetables and being more aware of all this. And you always have that great inspirational energy.
That's why I'm a motivational speaker. Thank you very much. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's what I do. I motivate. I'm a health motivator. So I'm a motivational speaker, but I motivate people on their health, not just their health, but in life as well, right? When it comes to, like I talk about, like the ant philosophy doesn't have anything to do with health, but it's all about changing how you changing your mindset when it comes to whatever it is. It's your health, it's your, whatever. There's just different ways that you got to approach it to be able to change your mindset. So that's what I got into. I started getting heavily into a few years ago in 2022, about 3 years ago. I started getting really heavy into personal development, super heavy into personal development because at the time, like I said, I had just lost my mother. So I was kind of going through a bad time emotionally. I was my basically the weeds had taken my garden, and I was just super super depressed. I let the weeds take over, and I just decided, like, how do I get out of this? I got out of this by discovering personal development. When I discovered personal development, it all starts within you. Once I discovered that, and I started getting super super heavy into it. So that's why I teach people and how to inspire people, and from their own personal development, right? Because there's the major. I found out that the major key. Here's the major key to life. The major key to your well being, your better well being, is you. That's the key word is major. Like, the major key to your better future is you. You underline those two words, major and you.
Right. And what about people that think it's too late for me? What would you say to that person?
It's only too late when you're in the dirt. That's when it's too late. When you're in the dirt, that's when it's too late. I'm glad you asked that, because I got a client now. He's in his 60s. He's in his 60s. So if you go to my somebody pull me up on YouTube, you'll see my client testimonials. And this guy was in his he's in his 60s, right? And he was at rock bottom. His weight, his high, most weight he ever had in his life. Blood work was atrocious. Uh, you know, and then we worked together for 8 months. And in 8 months, he said that he went back to the doctor. Of course, he lost 50 pounds in the 8 months. He he inflammation went way down. His blood work was the best it's been. His cholesterol got cut in half. His blood work was the best it's been in 20 years. And he said he hadn't reached this weight until he in his 20s, 40 years. So 40 years. This guy's in his 60s. So it's never too late. I got another client. He's in his 70s, right?
Wow.
So it's never too late. He's a diabetic. So it's never too late until it's too late. That's when it's too late. That's what I'll tell people. Like, what happened? Hey, I'm too old. I'm blah blah blah. Blah. If you, that's why I ask people, how serious are you about this? Like, how serious are you about transforming your health? I don't care how old you are. Right? I don't care how old you are. Age is nothing but a number. Yeah, there's some things that come into play when you get into things that you can't do as much when you're older. But when it comes to your body, just wants to heal. I don't care how old you are. Your body wants to heal. So yeah, you can throw age out of the window. It's kind of like Aaliyah. You ever heard of Aaliyah, the singer?
Nope. Mm-mm.
She died back in early 2000s. She was this real big R&B singer back in the day, and she says age is nothing but a number. That was one of her songs. Age is nothing but a number. That's all it was. That's all it is. So like I said,
So there.
my he
Mhm.
proved that. He proved that by he hadn't seen these kind of lab results or seen this kind of weight in 40 years.
That's amazing. That's wonderful, right? And that's the determination of an ant that you're giving everyone. That energy of an ant moving forward and let's go, go, go. Let's get ready for the future. So you can have, good health when you're 70 and 80 and you're not popping 100 pills. So, and get off these pills. So that's wonderful. I mean, I feel it, the ant energy.
Yeah, plan ahead. Plan ahead. They're always on the go. Here's the thing about ants. Here's what ants do. They make rest a necessity, not an objective. Right?
Mm.
Now the grasshopper, on the other hand, the grasshopper makes rest an objective. That's what they do. So be more like an ant. Make rest a necessity, not an objective. You rest when you need it. You got to rest when you need it. Right? So don't rest
Right.
because you just want to rest all day every day and be a couch potato like a grasshopper. Basically, it's like don't be a grasshopper.
I won't be, I promise. And wait, let me tell everybody to make sure to visit us at www.all-creatures.org and help support this program and others by making a one-time or reoccurring donation of any amount. And make sure you subscribe to us. And um, thank you for watching this, everybody. And did you have some final words? Or we want to make sure that, your YouTube channel, right? Where's that?
It's under my name, Kelley Gilberry. Kelley Gilberry Unbottled.
All
At
right. And then
at
go ahead.
Kelley at Kelley Gilberry Unbottled. So, like I said, you can go. If you go to my website, unbottledwellness.com, it's a bunch of goodies on there. It's a bunch of free resources, a quiz you can take. A lot of good stuff on there. Especially, you don't even have to be a diabetic. It's geared towards diabetic, but even you don't even have to be a diabetic. You can follow. You just follow these 4 areas that I'm teaching you with. I don't care what your condition is. You're gonna improve it. You're gonna improve the condition. So that's all in the resources on my website, unbottledwellness.com.
Well, this is wonderful. You are a very powerful vegan, plant based speaker and inspirationalist. And so I'm very thankful to have met you. And I'm sure we'll be talking together in the future. And, I don't know if you know JJ. I don't, but
I don't
JJ,
know JJ.
yeah, she's got a
It'll pop
vegan
up a
show.
couple times, but no, I don't know JJ.
Yeah, y'all should. I'll introduce y'all. But anyway, thanks for watching us, JJ, and everyone else who's going to be watching on the replay. And definitely go check out the book. Oh my gosh, it is hilarious, and it's just very inspirational. So I love it anyway. I love talking to you, Kelley, because you always make me laugh. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Right
Thank
back
you.
at you. Appreciate it.
All right, y'all. Then we'll see you next week. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you for watching us.